Hello and welcome to this family head massage workshop. The idea behind this workshop is to simply create some time for calm and connection between parents and children. If you're anything like our family, we have 3 young children, then despite the fact that during lockdown we've all spent a lot of time together, quite often that time has been quite busy, perhaps quite frantic and quite loud, and one-to-one time with our children hasn't always been easy. I certainly find that offering head massage has been a lovely way of being able to create some relaxation and connection together, and that is exactly what this session is all about. So the way that it will work is I will begin by demonstrating some very simple Indian head massage techniques for parents to share with their children, and there'll be a chance to familiarise yourself with those. And then I'm going to read a story called Bertie the Bear and the Corona Kids. The story is based around the main character, Bertie the Bear, and his experiences during this lockdown era, his thoughts and his feelings. He's a bear who loves going on adventures, he loves being with his friends, and at times he begins to struggle a little bit with not being able to do the things he loves, to go outdoors and play in the woodlands, to see his friends as much as he wants to. And it's about his experiences. And I hope that in sharing this story, it might be an opportunity perhaps to consider whether his thoughts and emotions and feelings connect with any that you or your child have experienced. Perhaps create a space for some discussion if that feels right. And also during the story, there are a number of strategies that Bertie the Bear uses along with the support of his father to try and help him feel a bit better. And again, it may be that some of those are helpful for you guys to try together. So all you're going to need to get set up, firstly, is a comfortable place to sit. I like to sit on a cushion just to help to support my lower back. Have another cushion or pillow to hand that you can place on your lap for your child's head to rest on as you offer them the massage, and you may also wish to have a rug to pop over them as well, just to make sure that they're super cozy. A couple of other tips around offering massage with children. One of them is that before beginning a massage, it's a really nice idea just to check in, even if it's with your own children, that they're happy to receive a massage at this time. And it just sets up some really kind of important messages around boundaries and touch, and your children being able to kind of opt in or opt out at that time. So before we begin, perhaps just check in with your child. Are you happy to receive a massage? The other thing to say is that during the session I will be sharing some techniques, but we're all so different in terms of what we like, how we like to receive touch. So it's completely fine if your child doesn't like any of the techniques, or if you want to adapt them. Also try different levels of pressure. Some people like to receive massage in a firmer way or a lighter touch, and that's all completely fine as well. So check in with your child as you go. You may even make up some new techniques as well. And really the guidance is if it feels good to your child and it feels good and supportive to you to give, then that's great. So if you want to settle in together, just check your child's happy to receive the massage, and I'll go and find one of my children. So this is Syra, who's my oldest daughter and has very kindly volunteered her head for the purposes of this video. Do you want to say hello, Syra?
Hello.
If you want to get your child comfortably lying in front of you, if like Syra, your child has long hair, then do you want to lift your head up, lovely? Just bring the hair up towards the top of the head, and that way it hopefully won't get all tangled when you're massaging their head. And Syra, do you want to sit up just a little bit more? That's it, bring yourself up a bit more. Brilliant, just so we can see a little bit better. Perfect. So I'm going to show you the very basic Indian head massage techniques that I'm going to suggest that you just use kind of freestyle as I'm reading the story, depending on what feels good to you, what feels good to your child, and perhaps even noticing which of the techniques might follow the pace or the texture of the story. For example, if there's walking or rustling or anything like that, then you might want to kind of reflect that in the moves that you choose. So to begin with, just placing your palms of your hands flat on your child's shoulders and just very gently pushing down, so pushing away at the shoulders, perhaps just taking a moment of quiet. And really this is just about connecting. When I'm working as a massage therapist, we always start with a kind of gentle sense of grounding when we begin working, and just allowing the person receiving the massage to get used to the touch, your touch, the tone of your touch, your temperature, and just kind of come in tune with each other. Then when you're ready, just gradually pushing away one shoulder at a time. And this is called cat's paws because it's a little bit like a cat kind of pawing with their front legs. So you're not trying to push too hard, but you're just gently pushing away at the shoulder joint in each arm. And partly this is really nice because when we feel anxious or tense, often our shoulders come right up towards our ears. And it's just reminding our shoulders that we can lower them, that we can create this space between our shoulders and our neck. So perhaps checking in with your child already about what level of pressure feels nice. How does that feel, Sarah?
Good.
Okay, perfect. So we've got hands on shoulders and we've got cat's paws. Then we are going to do bear's paws as our next technique. So taking your hands and allowing the fingers to curve slightly, and we're going to use the flat padded part at the top of each finger and just gently stroke out your child's hair, beginning at the front of the scalp and moving to the back, perhaps moving the head over slightly so that you can engage with the back of the head. When you're offering head massage, it's very easy just to kind of stick with the middle of the head, but it's really nice to try and make sure that you cover the whole of the head. So just be aware of that as you're going. How's that pressure, Sarah?
Lovely.
Brilliant. So we've got bear's paws, just really simple, bear's paws stroking out the hair. The next stroke we're going to do, the very technical term, is called clutching the hair. And literally you're just going to take kind of like a clutch of hair between your hands, so like this, and then you're going to keep your hand beside the scalp and just give a gentle squeeze so that you're engaging the follicles of the hair right down at the root. Hold for maybe about 5 seconds and then release. Move your hand to another area and repeat. So when you're using this technique, it's quite nice to make sure you've got quite a decent clump of hair. If you've got a very little amount, it can feel a bit pinchy. So just try to make sure you've got a decent clump of hair. How does that feel, Sarah?
Good.
Is that good? So this particular technique is a bit like Marmite in our household. Some of our family absolutely love it and it's their favourite, and some aren't so keen, and that's completely okay. If you want, you can use both hands to do it, so whatever feels good for you. The next technique we're going to do is called ruffling. So again, taking our bear's paws, we're just using the padded tops of the fingertips, starting at the top of the head and just ruffling through to the back of the head like this. So ruffling, ruffling, ruffling. And again, trying to make sure that you're covering different sections of the head, perhaps inviting your child. Do you want to move your head over to one side, Sarah? To move over to one side so that you can kind of get into the back of the head as well. Do you want to move over to the other side? Brilliant. So we're ruffling through the scalp. Lovely. Do you want to come back to centre? And then again, we're going to take our bear's paws, using the padded fronts of the fingers, and we're going to do some pressure points. So just placing your hands on your child's head in the scalp area and then just gently pressing in and holding for maybe about 5 to 10 seconds and releasing, holding and releasing, and again trying to move your fingers and thumbs around to different areas. How's that pressure, Sarah? Would you like it a little firmer or a little lighter?
A little firmer.
A little firmer, okay. So again, do check in with your child, and then you can really tailor this massage to be absolutely as they like it, which may be different from how you like it, from how other children or other family members like it. So you've got pressure points. And then again, using our bear's paws, we're just going to use the tips of our fingers, the padded parts, to do little circles around the scalp area. So it's a bit like shampooing at a hairdresser's. Imagine it a bit like that. And a tip is we often try and do it quite kind of quickly. But personally, I really like this technique if it's done quite slowly and for me, quite firm. So try it different ways, but it's quite nice to kind of just really slow down. Which do you prefer, Sarah? Kind of fast or slow?
Kind of faster.
Faster, okay, that's cool. Should we do a bit fast? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And so again, moving around the whole of the scalp area rather than just sitting in one place. So that is all the techniques we're going to use today during the free flow section. So just as a reminder, we've got hands on shoulders. We've got our cat's paws pushing gently away at each shoulder. We've got bear's paws, which is literally just stroking out the hair. We've got clutching the hair, either with two hands or one. We've got ruffling. We've got pressure points, and we've got circling. So just before we get started, it might be nice just to check in with your child. Do they have a favourite technique? Are there any that they really liked? Or just before we get going, have a sense of what might be most lovely and nourishing for them as we read the story. This is the story of Bertie the Bear and the Corona Kids. So perhaps starting with your hands on your child's shoulders, gently pushing away and moving into some cat's paws as we begin the story. The spring sunshine poured down on the young animals in Bottlette Woods, who laughed as they chased each other around the trees during break time at forest school. Bertie the Bear shrieked with merry surprise as his best friend, Kiki the Kid, sprung out on him from her hiding place behind a tree stump. And now just continuing with free flow head massage techniques, whichever you want to choose as the story continues. Your turn to hide, my turn to seek, giggled Kiki the Kid. And she ducked her head down between her front legs to hide her eyes as Bertie scampered off to take his turn. The woodlands at Bottlette, an ancient farmstead tucked in a quiet valley in Cornwall, made for a wonderful playground, filled with gnarly twisted trees that formed nooks and crannies which became perfect hideouts for children to play in. Just as Bertie squeezed himself into a crack between two tall trees, the bell rang. Oh, thought Bertie to himself, this was such a great place to hide. Now it's time for lessons to start again, and so soon. Reluctantly, he eased himself out from between the trees, promising to remember this excellent spot for the next game. Bertie joined Kiki and their other friends in the playground, lining up in single file as Mrs. Owl, their teacher, stood waiting for the children to settle. But miss, it can't be the end of break time yet. We've only just started playing, moaned Syra the Swallow and Otto the Otter. Quiet, please, said Mrs. Owl. I have some important news to share. The children could see that Mrs. Owl looked very serious. Her normally twinkling eyes seemed a little sad. Children, began Mrs. Owl kindly, I have some news to share with you. Our school is to shut for a few weeks. We're finishing early, before the Easter holidays. Although Bertie felt excited to hear that holidays were coming soon, there was a troubled feeling in his tummy. He didn't quite know why, but although he would normally have wished like mad to be at home playing, with weeks and weeks of holiday, this suddenly felt a bit different. But why? Asked Kiki, looking puzzled. Well, you know we've all been washing our hands a lot more recently. Who can remember why this is? Asked Mrs. Owl. I know, answered Bertie brightly, thrusting his arm straight into the air. It's because of the coconut virus. Mrs. Owl grinned and said, almost, Bertie, it's actually called the coronavirus. We've talked about it together over the past few days and weeks. The number of people in our woodland who have the virus has increased. There are quite a few animals now in hospital needing care from our animal doctors and nurses. So we have been asked to close the schools and for families to stay at home together on their own while we allow the illness to pass and stop many more people from becoming sick. A quietness settled amongst the children in the playground, something that was quite rare and felt deep and important. "When is school closing, and when will we see our friends again?" asked Bertie cautiously. "School closes now. That's why I've brought you in from break time early. Your parents are on their way to pick you up and take you back to your houses where you can stay safely together. You must say goodbye to your friends. I'm sure it won't be too long before you see them again, but right now I can't say exactly when that will be." "Will we become ill?" asked Kiki, her voice trembling slightly. "I very much hope not," replied Mrs. Owl. "That's why we're being asked to close the schools and stay at home, to keep everyone as safe as we possibly can. Most animals who get the virus get better. When children become ill with a virus, they're often not very poorly at all. But some animals need to go to hospital, where the doctors and nurses do everything they can, helping those who are sick to get better. There are also lots of clever scientists who are finding out more about the virus right now, how we can stop it, and medicines we can use to help sick animals get well as quickly as possible. But right now we need to do all we can to help stop the illness from spreading." The children in the playground nodded their heads. They understood why it would be important to stay at home, but they still felt sad that they wouldn't see their friends. The children's parents started to appear at the school gates, and one by one Mrs. Owl let them out. Bertie's mother was the first to arrive, but before he left the playground he gave Kiki a great big hug and waved at all his other friends. "Goodbye," he called. "See you soon. Goodbye, Mrs. Owl." Bertie didn't say much on the walk with his mother back to their cave that was deep in the woods. He was thinking a lot. His head seemed to be full of thoughts and questions, yet they weren't very clear. It all felt a bit muddled and peculiar. The grown-ups seemed to be acting as though closing school and staying at home was completely normal. How many times had he begged and pleaded not to go into school on bright sunny days when he was desperate to go fishing in the river? It was all very confusing and didn't seem quite real that he wouldn't see his friends, and especially his best friend Kiki, for quite some time. The next few days passed quietly at home. Bertie's father was at home with the children, busily cooking, cleaning, and each morning he sat down with Bertie and his siblings to help them with the schoolwork that they'd been sent home. Bertie was surprised when he realised how much more he enjoyed doing maths at school, with his friends sitting beside him and Mrs. Owl with her expert knowledge of, well, everything, ready to help out at any time. Bertie's dad tried his best to help Bertie, but kept saying it was a long time since he'd done fractions and long division, and he'd have to have a look and try and work it out. It was most frustrating. Bertie's mum was called a key worker, as she helped to supply the ingredients to make medicines for the Woodland Hospital. Each morning she had a new list of supplies to forage from the forest and to take to the pharmacy to be made into special medicines for people who were ill with corona. On Monday she had to collect a special type of honey. On Tuesday she had to pick gorse flowers. On Wednesday she had to collect sap from an ancient oak tree, and so it went on. Bertie's mother would arrive home very late each evening, tired and ready for the supper that her husband would place down on the table for her. Then after supper she would lie down as Bertie's father gently rubbed her tired feet. After each morning of maths and English lessons, Bertie helped his father in the garden, where they were sowing seeds, digging the vegetable beds, watering, planting and weeding. As the days rolled into weeks, Bertie was excited to see the first shoots emerge from the tomato and carrot seeds that he had planted. And gradually the vegetable beds filled up with all sorts of interesting shaped plants that his father assured him would provide delicious food for them throughout the summer months. And yet, despite the sunny skies, the warmth of this close family time and the weeks off school, Bertie felt an emptiness in his tummy. He wished dearly that he could go outside of the small garden in front of his family's cave and explore the woods as he used to. He longed to skip and hop along the paths, swinging on branches as he made his way to the river. He missed fishing, splashing, swimming with his friends, spending the day picnicking and playing on the riverbank. In fact, he missed all of his friends so much, especially Kiki, that he actually began to wish that school would start again. Bertie's father noticed that he looked sad as Bertie carried the heavy watering can to the vegetable beds that afternoon. "What's up, Bert?" he asked. "I miss my friends," replied Bertie. "I miss being able to go out of our house and our little garden. There's a whole woods out there just waiting to play in, and I'm not allowed to. It's hot, beautiful weather, and all I want to do is jump in the river. It's not fair, and no one seems to know when it's going to end." A tear leaked out of the corner of Bertie's eyes and slowly made its way down his cheek. "I understand," said Bertie's father, sitting down beside him and gently wiping the tears. "It's an uncertain time, and it's hard being without our friends. I miss my friends too, and my mother, your grandmother, whom I haven't been able to see for a good few weeks now." Bertie looked up at his father. He missed his grandmother too. "But," said Bertie's dad, "although right now we don't know how long this will last for, there are still many, many things that we can be grateful for." "Like what?" asked Bertie, looking puzzled. "I can't see my friends. I can't leave the house. I can't have a party for my birthday next week. We can't go away on holiday like we planned to. Mum's working really hard and we hardly see her." "Have a think, Bert," said his dad. "Is there anything you can be grateful for right now?" Bertie thought hard and sat down beside his father. "Well, I suppose the sun is shining." "Right," replied Bertie's father. "And we have a garden, even though it's small, so I've been able to spend quite a lot of time outside each day." "Absolutely," said Bertie's father. "That's a huge gift right now. Not everyone has that." "And I'm not ill? You're not ill? Mum's not ill. In fact, no one in our family is ill." "How incredibly lucky we are," said Bertie's father. "Anything else?" "I've had loads of time to play," said Bertie, getting into the swing of it now. "Normally I say I wish I had more time to play. I've learnt how to cook new things, and you've taught me how to make a basket by weaving willow together and how to mend my fishing rod." "Exactly," replied his father. "And I've had lots of time with the family. Even though sometimes we argue, I do love my brothers and sisters. And it's been ace hanging out with you," said Bertie, smiling as he looked at his father. "I feel exactly the same," said Bertie's father, reaching out a large paw and gently pulling Bertie towards him for a hug. "It can be hard when we can't do the things we want to or the things we're used to doing. It can make us feel all sorts of things like sad, angry, or frustrated. But if we look hard enough, we can always find things to be glad about. And I'm here to help you feel safe and look after you." Bertie's dad gave him a gentle kiss on his forehead, which felt warm and comforting. And then his dad said, "I'd love to help you feel better by using my magical paws, just like you've helped your friends in the past when they felt down. Come and snuggle up in front of me." Bertie gave a contented sigh as he lay in front of his father. He loved it when they shared quiet time together, especially when he was being nurtured by his dad's magical paws. "When you're ready, gently close your eyes," whispered Bertie's dad. and take a long, deep breath. As you breathe in, gather up all those sad feelings from inside you, and as you breathe out, just blow them away into the air. Let's do this together. Do you want to take a deep breath in? Deep breath out. Blowing away any sad feelings. Bertie felt his dad place his large, soft paws gently on his head as he began to gently stroke Bertie's fur. And you can follow along to these techniques that Bertie's dad uses, beginning by placing your thumbs. We're going to work on the face, beginning by placing the thumbs parallel on the forehead. So Bertie's dad used the thumbs of his paws to open out across Bertie's forehead. So just gently moving your thumbs across from the middle of the forehead to the outer part of the forehead. And repeating. He used the tips of his 3 middle fingers on his paws, the padded tips, to run parallel lines, pressing down over the forehead and gently moving out, pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing, and then alternating between thumbs opening out the forehead and the pads of the 3 middle fingers, pressing and releasing as we open out over the forehead. Perhaps doing that once more in your own time, using your thumbs to open out across the forehead and then pressing down with the tips of the fingers as we open out over the forehead. Stroking out over the forehead. He used his first fingers, placing them inside the angle between the top of the nose and the inside of the eye socket, and then just gently pulling upwards. So you're going to place in here and just gently pull upwards, holding for about 10 seconds. He used the tips of his paws to gently press along the line of the eyebrow, the top of the eye socket. He placed his paws on Bertie's temples and made gentle, small circles over the temples. He used flat paws to circle over the cheeks in an upward direction, coming up over the whole face. So down over the cheeks, up, down over the cheeks, connecting to the chin and up again, and come right up to the top of the head, over the cheeks, right up to the top of the head. Okay. He placed his fingertips of his paws again at Bertie's temples and just held for a few moments. And then he used his magical bear paws to once again stroke out Bertie's hair. And finally, he rested his paws on Bertie's shoulders, gently pushing away. Bertie lay still for a moment, enjoying the feeling of quiet calm that flowed from his father's paws right through to him. "Thank you so much, Dad. Your paws really are magical. I feel so much better. I feel calmer, and the funny feeling in my tummy has disappeared." I just carry on again with free flow techniques over the head. Bertie's father gave a big smile. "And you know what?" he asked. "Every single one of us has magical paws, hands, hooves. Whatever and whoever we are, we can find a sense of calm when we take the time to stop and connect with each other. When we feel calm, it can be easier to think happier thoughts and let go of sadness." Bertie's eyes lit up and he said, "I've just had an idea, Dad. Is the post still working at the moment?" "Yes," replied Bertie's dad, wondering what his son had in mind. "The doves are still delivering mail between households in the woodlands." "Why, Bert?" "Well, I've thought that I could write to Kiki. I could tell her everything I've been doing, draw some pictures, and maybe send some ideas for adventures that we can have together when this is over." "That's a brilliant idea," said Bertie's father. Let's fetch some paper and pencils and you can get started." And that's exactly what Bertie did. He settled down outside on the grass in the sunshine and wrote to his best friend, Kiki the kid, imagining the fun they would have when they were allowed to be together again. He described how they would run down the winding paths through the woods until they reached the glistening river. Their friends, Syra the swallow and Otto the otter, would be with them too. He imagined them swinging on the branches of the weeping willow tree that overhung the deep river pool, letting go of their branch at just the right moment so they would splash down into the crystal clear water. He imagined laughing as they swam, ducking and diving, and then lying on their backs on the banks of the river, eyes closed, sunshine warming their bodies as they dried off. Bertie noticed that he was smiling as he wrote about their adventure, savouring every moment as he imagined himself, Kiki and their friends in his happy place. When he had finished writing, Bertie collected some leaves from the garden to wrap around the letter, making an envelope. He wrote Kiki's name and address on the front, and then he tied it up with long blades of grass to keep it tightly shut. He placed the letter on the wall at the end of the garden and then gave a long whistle, and a few moments later a dove circled around above his head before swooping down and lifting up the letter with her claws. Bertie shouted after her, "Thank you for delivering my letter, and please send my love to Kiki and her family." The dove dipped her head up and down as if to say, "I will," and then she darted off through the skies. Bertie watched the post dove go, and when she was out of sight, he walked back to the garden and he lay down on the grass. Closing his eyes, he brought to mind his happy place, down by the river with his friends, and he allowed his mind to rest on the wonderful adventures that they would have when they were allowed to be together again. "How very lucky I am," thought Bertie. And that is the end of the story. We hope that you enjoyed the story of Bertie the Bear and the Corona Kids. And most importantly, we hope that you have enjoyed spending this time together. So just remember that we all have magical paws or hands, and actually sometimes even taking just a few moments, whether it's with a whole story, whether it's with one of your own favourite bedtime stories, or simply just having a moment together. I know that within our family anyway, introducing a little bit of special magical touch through head massage can be a wonderful way of creating that calm and connection. I have a few questions about the story that you may wish to share together. The first one is, you might have discussed this already, but which head massage technique is your favourite? So it's always nice to know so that when you come back to massage another time, you can kind of hone your sequence to make it as lovely as possible for the person receiving. And children, do remember that if you'd like to, you may want to offer your parent a head massage at some point and have a go reciprocating. Also, what did you think of the story, and how did it make you feel? And I wonder whether any of the thoughts and feelings that Bertie had during the story resonated with how you have felt at all. So could you kind of connect with, or were any of those familiar at all for you? Can you think of any different ways that came throughout the story that Bertie was able to feel better? So one of them, for example, was having the head massage, which was particularly around the face, from his father. So that was one thing that his dad did, using his magical paws to help him feel better. But can you think of any others, any other ways in which he was able to feel a little better? Bertie talked about what he was grateful for, and I wonder if you might like to think about what you're grateful for. And the final question is that Bertie talked about his happy place. Can you think where his happy place was? Can you remember, Syra, where Bertie's happy place was?
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was swinging on the weeping willow tree and letting go at just the right time so they can splash into the river.
Absolutely. So Bertie, thank you, Sarah. Bertie absolutely loves being by the river, and he was able to sit and imagine having a wonderful time with his friends. So I wonder if you have a particularly happy place, and if you end up feeling a little low at all, whether it might be nice for you to just imagine where this happy place is and see if it can help you feel a little happier as well. So thank you again for joining us. I'd love to know how you found the experience of sharing the head massage and the story. And thank you for joining us. Goodbye.